Commercial excellence begins with understanding the commercial system in detail. You cannot improve what you don't understand. AI doesn't replace this principle. It makes understanding a lot faster and cheaper. The process does not change, but the method does. And innovation comes here with a method. And this is exactly what we are going to talk about today. My name is Alex, and I'm glad to welcome all system architects, builders, and problem solvers to my channel. Here, we don't just talk about better systems, we build them. If you have ever worked in commercial excellence, you have probably seen this before. A big roadmap, hundreds of ideas and projects. A new CRM system is needed. The pricing approach must be reworked. Customer segmentation must be implemented. Years later, a lot of money invested in software solutions, consultants, time and effort. Nothing really changed. Why is that? And why do we observe that in so many cases? Because you can't improve what you don't understand. Yet that's exactly what many commercial excellence projects trying to do. They start with solutions before they have understood how the commercial system actually works. So let's talk about where commercial excellence really begins. Before we start, let me make you one promise. Everything I share on this channel comes from real projects, real mistakes, and real experience. I don't care about productivity hacks or management buzzwords. I care about building systems that actually work. If every video gives you just one idea you can use on Monday morning, then we have both used our time here very well. Enough talk. Let's get into action. Let us define what commercial excellence really is. And let us do so by looking at a typical situation in most of the companies. Walk into almost any company and ask 5 people what is commercial excellence. You will get 5 different answers or a shrug. That isn't a side issue, it is the first failure. If people don't understand what commercial excellence is, they cannot understand why it even exists. One thing I have learned over the years is that everybody seems to have a different definition of commercial excellence. So instead of debating terminology, let me give you the definition I will use throughout this channel. To me, commercial excellence is the discipline of understanding commercial systems, turning them into models, identifying leverage, and building better ways of working. Notice what isn't in that definition. No CRM, no pricing, no reporting, no departments, because commercial excellence isn't defined by the tools it uses, it's defined by the system it builds. And to make that practical, I would like to introduce the framework that sits behind almost everything I do. And because I like to keep things simple, this is also the part of the core definition of commercial excellence. Every commercial excellence initiative I've ever worked on follows the same 4 steps. First, understand the existing system. Then, turn it into a model. Once you have a model, you can identify the leverage, and only then you build a better system. In fact, everything we will discuss on this channel fits into these 4 steps. This is the method I use whenever I try to improve any system. First, understand the system, then turn it into a model. Once you have a model, you can identify the leverage, and only then you build something better. So what is AI doing in all of this? Interestingly, AI doesn't replace any of these 4 steps. It accelerates every single one of them. It helps us understand faster, model faster, identify leverage faster, and ultimately build better systems faster. That's why AI is so exciting for commercial excellence. Let's have a look at the current reality. The biggest commercial decisions are often made before anyone can actually observe the process. Someone who isn't part of the system has already decided what the problem is. Now, to be fair, sometimes those decisions are absolutely justified. Your CRM vendor ends support. Your company acquires another business. Regulations change. Commercial excellence isn't there to block those decisions. It's our job to understand their impact and to challenge the assumptions behind them. If you're not doing that, you have very little chance of fixing a problem, but a big likelihood of verschlimmbessern the status quo. What did you just say? What is verschlimmbessern? So verschlimmbessern is one of these German words you just have to like, because it just explains something that very much happens all of the time. Somebody wants to improve a system, but even in the best intention, he's even making it worse. So if you would directly translate it, it's to worsen improve, to make something worse while trying to improve it. So how do we solve this underlying challenge? How can we avoid doing the same mistakes again? Well, we understand the system, and we do that by building a model. Understanding systems is difficult. There is an unlimited number of unknowns which lead to uncertainty, and it's our job to reduce uncertainties, right? So the main job of decision makers is to reduce risks. So good luck explaining a complicated system with an unlimited number of unknowns. Therefore, the second step is not yet a meeting, not yet the big alignment, but the model that explains the system is a very simple way. Models turn complexity into something people can actually discuss. My approach is basically to have a model for everything. And I also like to have a list for everything, but we will come back to that at a later point of time. This is my example model for you. I didn't make this to be copied. I made it to show you what modeling a system actually looks like, not what yours should contain. This one is 3 dimensions: impact, effort, and risk/reversibility. Identify your big rocks, identify your small rocks, and assess them. Not all big rocks create big impacts. Let me elaborate here a little further on 2 examples. Pricing is the first one, although it creates a significant impact, but on the other hand, also creates a significant commercial risk. In addition to that, consider the effort. You just don't implement a new pricing approach overnight, right? In my second example, and this is also where we are heading to, we can see that the small improvements outperform the big projects in almost every dimension. They are cheaper, they are less risky, and easier to reverse. And they create the foundation the big projects depend on. Most companies try to start with transformation. I prefer to start with momentum. And I can tell you, momentum beats transformation. Don't copy my model. Build your own. Every company has a different commercial system. Different systems require different models. However, take a very close look at your potential process improvements. I can almost guarantee you this is where you find the momentum. And once you have a model, the conversation changes. People stop arguing about opinions and start talking about leverage. There is actually something deeper here. When you build the model, you frame the discussion. You do not just describe reality, you shape it. That's a rabbit hole for another episode, but keep it in the back of your mind. The map gives you your best guesses about where the leverage is, but a score on a slide is still a guess. The real work, and today the cheap part, is checking it. Does this process actually have the upside we assumed? Sometimes yes, sometimes you find less than you hoped for, and you move on. The map tells you where to look first. Observation tells you what is really there. Based on my map, on my hypothesis, what is the logical next step? Of course, we will jump into the process. We will try to improve so by getting our hands dirty and earn some acceptance. We talk to people, we do work shadowing, we understand the processes. We sit with customer care, we sit with service, we sit with order processing. We look over the shoulders from our sales guys. And take a good look at the interfaces nobody can tell you about any details. Sitting next to the people who actually do the work. That is where commercial excellence actually happens. Here is one conviction I hold very strongly. If you haven't observed the process yourself, you don't have an informed opinion. You have a hypothesis. Dashboards show outcomes. Processes explain outcomes. Commercial excellence belongs where the work actually happens. But we have to be honest here. Process improvements is not a pricing project, but still connected to a significant effort and amount of work. So let's have a look at the process. Before, understanding the process was the most expensive part of the projects. We did interviews, we've been organizing workshops, we've been working together with consultants, and of course we did the process modeling, or we had specialists doing that, right? So that took weeks, months, even years of work. And I mean, just to put a ballpark in here, 5 consultants, 12 workshops, 3 months, easily 80,000 euros. In the past, understanding a commercial process was the expensive part. Before you could improve anything, you needed interviews, workshops, consultants, and process maps. Understanding came first, but understanding was expensive. So what has changed nowadays with AI? What happens nowadays with the power of AI is that you simply record a process while shadowing it. You use your screen recording and you have it analyzed with the help of AI. All you need is one person who knows the process and the screen recording. What happens then is pure value creation. AI is able to analyze and map your current process in almost any format you like to see, but also to propose you a future process and all the required improvements. A gap analysis is almost a side effect here, but will help you to create a convincing business case. Now notice something interesting. The process itself doesn't matter. It could be quoting, customer care, order entry, CRM, onboarding. The process is interchangeable. The innovation is not the process. The innovation is the method. It's a completely new way of understanding systems. What genuinely excites me isn't AI itself. It is what AI removes. It removes dependencies, waiting for consultants, waiting for workshops, waiting for budgets, waiting for permission. Builders have always known what they wanted to improve. The problem was never the idea. The problem was the cost of understanding. AI changes exactly that. So if you take just one thing away from this video, let it be this. To summarize and also put some disclaimers out here. Get rid of the outdated process on the left side and embrace the new possibilities with AI on the right side. So, AI creates the first draft, but humans validate the process. Of course, don't use customer data, and of course, no confidential data. No blind trust, right? Always challenge and enable your critical thinking. AI accelerates your thinking, but it doesn't replace your thinking. So if you just take one thing away from this video, let it be this. Commercial excellence isn't changing because AI provides better answers. It's changing because AI changes the economics of understanding. And if understanding becomes dramatically cheaper, building better commercial systems suddenly becomes possible at a completely different scale. That's a future I'm genuinely excited about. This was the foundation, what commercial excellence is, why understanding becomes before improvement, and why AI fundamentally changes how we build better commercial systems. The next videos will go much deeper. Pricing, CRM, customer segmentation, lead management, sales process design, forecasting, and commercial AI. But before we get there, I would love to hear your perspective. What's the first commercial system you would like to understanding tomorrow? Let me know in the comments. And remember, you can't improve what you don't understand. Now go build something better.